Welcome, everyone. So glad you could join us today. You're joining us for curious about what your 501c3 organization can do during election season. And this training is really going to help us understand what we can do in elections and dispel those common misconceptions so nonprofits can advance their policy issues and strengthen democracy. We'll also hear from 0 to 3 as they highlight their amazing election toolkit and the Think Babies Election Toolkit as a great example of what an organization can do related to elections. As we get started, I'd love for you to share in the chat box as you're listening to my housekeeping. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most very confident, share how confident you are in knowing what your 501c3 organization can do during election season. Just a few housekeeping items. This is being recorded, so if you're not comfortable with that, you can disconnect now. Andrea Guarnero is our tech support today, so if you need her, you can put a note right in the chat and she'll help you out. We're going to be taking questions at the end, so I encourage you during the presentation to add your questions into the chat box as they come up so you won't forget them, but also so we can get to as many of them as possible. If we can't get to them all, then we'll respond to them by email following the call. I really appreciate you all spending some time with us today and would love to take a minute to introduce our speakers. I should say I'm Allison Frazier. I'm the Director of Communications and Campaign Planning with Voices for Healthy Kids here at American Heart Association, and I use she, her pronouns. Our first speaker will be Alan Madison. He's a partner at Trista Ross Chadler and Gold. He represents nonprofit organizations on campaign finance, civic engagement, and voter registration issues. He helps organizations structure their 501c3 GOTV, their 501c4 lobbying, and their PAC work strategically to reach the most voters without getting in trouble with the IRS or election officials. He's also a wonderful presenter, so I'm glad to have him here with us today. Justine Davenport is the acting director of advocacy with 0 to 3. As director of advocacy, Ms. Davenport leads the 0 to 3 advocacy strategy, including national and state campaigns to move an infant toddler policy agenda. She directs 0 to 3's Think Babies effort, which engages a network of more than 70 partner organizations and thousands of advocates nationwide. Welcome, Justine. We're excited to hear about your toolkit. And with that, I will turn it over to Alan.
Thanks a lot, Allison, and thank you all for joining today. I really appreciate it. I know that folks Tower, many of you are up to your elbows in election work right now and trying to figure out exactly what you can do and are facing innumerable pressures in terms of candidates asking you for support and donors and executives, board members, asking you to get involved with things you're not sure whether you can get involved with or not, or maybe throwing the brakes on and telling you you can't do things that you know absolutely, yeah, we totally can do as a C3. So our goal today is to dispel some of those misconceptions that board members and executives may have and help you understand exactly where that line is for what C3s can do so that we can get our toes up to it while also being confident that we're not going over that line. Our goal should be to get all the candidates, reporters, anyone who's involved with elections talking about infant and toddler issues, because candidates are only going to respond and start setting policy when they know that voters care about these issues. We want pollsters to be asking about these issues so that candidates start making policies on them, for the goal of getting these folks, when they're in office, whatever party they are, we want them setting up good policies on infant and toddler issues. And the place to start that is in the campaign scenario, in the campaign setting, so that we can get them focused on this policy when they're in office so that they can be fulfilling their campaign promises. So we're going to do that in a way that helps push our mission forward while also trying to stay safe. And it's an interesting balancing act to walk. And in particular, it's the sort of thing that, if people don't know where the line is, they tend to hang back too much. So there's a whole lot of stuff where sensibly, you're being cautious because you know that you're not allowed to do certain things, but we don't want people to be overly cautious. We want people to be appropriately cautious, but also to engage in the policy work where it's allowable. So the basic rule here is C3s have a right to educate the public. At the same time, the rule is that you can't show any bias or preference for or against candidates, right? So we need to be pushing our policy goals in a way that's going to be fair and even to all candidates. So we're going to keep exercising our First Amendment right to keep pushing for policy, while recognizing that under Section 501c3, if we want to get all of the benefits of Section 501c3, we need to agree to give up the ability to influence candidate elections. So we're going to talk about how to walk that line. And as Allison said in the chat box, put questions that you have in the chat box, please, because I guarantee if there's something that I said that's unclear to you, there's 24 other people on this call that it was also unclear to, and they will appreciate your asking the question to get me to clarify something. So with that, how we're going to structure this is, I'll talk about a couple of different types of activities that C3s can engage in particular, public education around our issues in the context of an election, and then also what civic engagement activities C3s can get involved with. And then Justine's going to launch into a really in-depth explanation about how 0 to 3 is leveraging these rules in a really smart, savvy, sophisticated way around elections, thinking about their toolkit, which is in the Think Babies umbrella. So the first area of activities I wanted to mention here are candidate briefings. And these are hugely helpful. These are an opportunity to talk to candidates and educate those candidates about policy issues, right? So you all at your organizations are experts on different policy issues. And the IRS allows you to share that expertise with candidates as long as you're making it available to all the candidates for a particular office. And I can't stress enough how tactically and strategically important candidate briefings are. And that's why I wanted to lead off with it, because this is an opportunity for you as a C3 to influence politicians at the start of their career. And the reason I say start of their career is if we can get in with candidates who are running for really low-level offices, city council, state rep, these are people who haven't started really formulating policy ideas yet. And so by giving a candidate, offering candidate briefings to all the candidates for city council or county council or various state rep districts, we're able to get in with these people at the very beginning of their career and shape what they're thinking about in terms of infant and toddler policy issues. And you become the go-to person for that politician throughout the course of their political career, not just during this campaign. So what you do here is offer materials to all the candidates for a given office, right? So you send those, email them to the campaign managers for all of the state rep candidates in your area, or mail a package of materials out to them. And in that package, say, hey, we'd love to give you an in-person briefing. If you'd like to have an in-person briefing, we can come to your office or do a Zoom for an hour and talk to you and answer all the questions you might have about these issues. It's totally fine if one candidate says yes and the other candidate says no. You can go to the candidate who said yes to your invitation, sit down with them and talk to them about these issues. That's totally fine. Just because one candidate said no doesn't mean we need to deny the other candidate having that opportunity. The tricky part, though, is that we need to stop when we have success. And what I mean by that is that if you're doing a really good job with this, a candidate is going to say, hey, this is terrific. Can you help me write a speech about infant brain development? Or, hey, can you help me write a speech about the need for early childhood education and childcare? And that, unfortunately, is the time you got to say no, because if the candidate is having you write their speech or write their op-ed, that means essentially that you're serving as an arm of their campaign. And that would be crossing the line for a C3. So the solution there is provide the materials in your briefing packet in anticipation of what that success might be. So provide them all the talking points and the data points that they might need to write an op-ed for their district when you send them those materials, or be able to direct them to some place on your website where they'd be able to find those materials, so that you're serving as an important resource for those candidates, but not serving as a campaign consultant, essentially, where you're benefiting one candidate over the other candidate. The picture on the screen is obviously a little bit outdated, but I really love this because it's an example of Audubon Society volunteers taking Senator McCain out bird watching in Arizona. And this kind of hands-on candidate education is invaluable. Talking to a candidate about data and facts is always important, but getting them to have a hands-on experience about your issues, having them read to a bunch of toddlers and see that engagement at an early childcare education facility, get them into a Head Start or wherever it may be, get candidates to experience what it's like to be a parent, get candidates to understand how kids' brains are developing so that they can really understand at a deep personal level what it means on your issues, rather than just giving them the data and the facts. Another important thing that a lot of your organizations are doing debates, forums, putting out questionnaires. The key things here that I want to emphasize, and those are all great activities, is we need to make sure that we aren't biasing those forums in one way or another. And importantly, have candidates address a breadth of issues so that it's not a proxy for, hey, this is the candidate who agrees with our issues, and this is the candidate that disagrees with our issues. The IRS view is that as long as we're having candidates talk about a broad array of issues at those forums or in the questionnaires, we're much less likely to be saying, this is the candidate that aligns specifically with our positions on the issues. Because if we were saying, hey, this is the good candidate and this is the bad candidate, which is in a sense what you're doing when you're saying this candidate agrees with us and this one doesn't, that's really a proxy for sort of a tacit endorsement. So we need to shift these questionnaires and we need to shift these forums away from being a tacit endorsement of one candidate versus the other to public education, where we're educating the public about where these candidates stand on the important issues that matter on infant and child. And people might think, well, infant and toddler issues is a very narrow set of issues, and it's really not. If we're asking about childcare, if we're asking about healthcare, we're asking about nutrition, right? We're asking about a plethora of issues, science. I mean, there's a whole plethora of issues that we can be asking about here that matter to infant and toddlers and their caregivers. And so the more you think expansively about those issues, the safer we're going to be from a C3 standpoint. If we're doing something like a questionnaire, or if we're doing a candidate forum. And then the other aspect of forums and debates that organizations in this realm really excel at is what's called bird dogging, colloquially, right? But what it is training people to ask good questions at candidate events. The training is really crucial here on the C3 end, because you don't want your volunteers or you don't want your staff getting up and asking biased questions that are going to indicate, hey, our organization thinks you're terrific and we're really excited for what you're doing on childcare. Do you agree to keep doing all the good stuff you've been doing on infant and toddler issues? That's clearly biased. That's clearly not okay for a C3. So it's important to train staff and volunteers so that you're not getting someone whose exuberance is going to lead them over the line. Instead, give them clear talking points where they're asking open-ended, broad questions that get candidates talking about substantive policy answers as opposed to like a yes or no question. The worst kind of yes or no question are candidate pledges. And the IRS really drops the hammer on things like this, where a C3 asks candidates, hey, do you pledge to do X if elected? And the reason a candidate pledge is illegal for 501c3s is because it's a very clear indication of whether or not the candidate agrees with that organization's agenda. And basically what it's saying is, hey, here's the list of people who are candidates who agree with our agenda. And if these are the candidates who agree with our agenda, essentially it's a tacit endorsement. These are the candidates that we endorse in the election. And the C3 can't give that kind of endorsement. So no pledges. You can't ask candidates to promise to do X if they're elected or have any other type of candidate pledge. So Dustin's asking a good question here about candidate pledges in terms of the distinction between agreeing with our agenda and whether we share that information publicly. So that's a really good distinction, Dustin. So the issue here is we can put out a policy agenda, right? We think, here's the 2023 agenda for infants and toddlers. That's totally fine. And if candidates want to adopt our agenda and start talking about our agenda, that's awesome. That's terrific. That's exactly what we want, is we want people to be talking about our agenda. The problem is we can't then say, hey, here are the candidates who've agreed with our agenda. Here are the candidates who've endorsed our agenda, because that would be explaining to the voters, hey, here's the list of the good candidates over here. So it's again one of those situations where once you start having success, you've got to stop. So we can put our agenda out. If candidates want to run with our agenda, that's fantastic, but we can't retweet, for example, a candidate who posts, hey, I've adopted the Voices for Healthy Kids agenda. We can't retweet and give more attention to that candidate's position on that. Thank you for asking about that distinction, Dustin. That was important. I'm glad you did. The other important type of work that we can do as a C3, in addition to the public education and the candidate education work, is nonpartisan get out the vote work, where we're not talking about our policy issues, we're simply encouraging people to get out and vote. It's hugely important for a whole bunch of reasons that I'm not going to dive into every single one of them, but it's a lot easier to do than voter registration work. And in some ways, it's a lot more important because a lot of groups out there are registering voters, but if a voter registers but never casts their ballot, it sort of doesn't matter. Who cares about someone who registers but never votes? We want people who are registered to be casting their ballot. So it's really impactful, it's really important. And voter registration drives have a lot of rules that are attached to them, both from the state side and from the foundation grant side. A lot of foundations will say, you can't use our funds for voter registration work. You can't use our funds for a voter registration drive, but you can use that money for get out the vote, where you're not registering people, but you're encouraging them to vote. You're talking about the importance of voting, telling them when election day is, giving them information about the registration process, but not collecting those registration cards, telling them when early voting starts. That whole panoply of activities is really important. Obviously, it needs to be done in a nonpartisan way. It can't be just signing up people who agree with one party or one candidate. Importantly, from a messaging standpoint, you can't use infant and toddler messaging, for example, when you're if you're talking about very specific policy proposals. You can't say vote because of this specific policy proposal, because that's going to attract just a small slice of the electorate who aligns with the candidates who support that particular issue. You can talk very broadly and say, vote because infants and toddlers are counting on it. You know, all candidates are going to support infants and toddlers broadly, but they might not support Medicaid expansion in your state to help those infants and toddlers. So you can't tie voting to Medicaid expansion, for example. You need to use very broad messaging that's not going to be aligned with any candidate. From a targeting perspective, it's fine to target everyone in the public. You know, if you have a GOTV table outside of the local grocery store and you're telling everyone who passes by when election day is or when voter registration deadlines are, that's totally fine. Or you can target historically underrepresented communities. So this is an effort to overcome historic discrimination, strengthen democracy. So we're doing this because, for example, young voters, women, Black voters, Latinos have historically voted at rates less than the overall population. 501c3s are allowed to target their GOTV messages at those populations in order to get those populations to vote at a higher level to overcome historic discrimination. A question here from Aurora is, if a member of a C3 is registered with their county to register voters, is that okay? Yeah, it's totally fine for C3s in general to register voters. A lot of 501c3s do voter registration. I was just saying that in terms of organizations, as you're thinking in the big picture about how to get involved with an election, doing GOTV is a lot easier than doing a voter reg drive. So what I would encourage everyone on this call to do is to build your organization's GOTV muscle first. And then once you're really strong and adept at GOTV, that's when you would get into doing a voter registration drive, once you've got all these other aspects nailed down. So one example I want to share here is, as you're doing GOTV, you can't align your messaging specifically with policies that one particular candidate might hold. So, you know, if you're in one jurisdiction where clean water, all the candidates support clean water, this communication might be totally fine. But if you're working in Flint, Michigan, for example, or Jackson, Mississippi, where different candidates have very clearly different positions on clean water, this communication might not be fine. Another example here from North Carolina is safer, because they're talking about a broad panoply of issues. They're talking about good jobs, healthy communities, access to clean energy. All candidates support this agenda in some way or another. So if you have a broad swath of issues that you're talking about, it's less likely to align with any particular candidate. And then the last thing I just want to emphasize and mention, and we'll send around these slides later as I sort of move quickly through this part, but you can keep doing your policy advocacy during an election. You just have to make sure that it's clear that the communications you're doing are legitimately policy advocacy, and they're not trying to be what the IRS calls a sham issue ad, basically a communication that is masquerading as policy advocacy, but it's really about elections. And so I'll share the factors that the IRS considers when they're looking at your communications. But a lot of them tie into things that are, how close are you in time to an election? Are the legislators that you're talking about or promoting, are they up for re-election right now? Something that, for example, this event with Councilwoman Rigby was done last March. Totally safe to do an event with Councilwoman Rigby in March, talking about her bike and pedestrian infrastructure, but it'd be really risky to do now because we're so close to the election. And then the last thing I want to mention here is this only involves your use of 501c3 resources. How we want to spend your personal time is totally up to you. You can do door knocking if you want. You can advocate for candidates. Depending on your organization, you can run for office, as long as you're not using any organizational resources like email lists, donor lists, or you can't have a campaign event in the organization's conference room, for example. On Twitter, social media questions come up a lot. Make sure that you're indicating on social media that the views are your own, right? Have a disclaimer. Don't include the organization's Twitter handle in your organization, don't include the organization's name in your Twitter handle if you're going to be using that Twitter handle for communications about the election. If your Twitter bio identifies your work role, it's more likely to be viewed as being related to your job. On the other hand, if your content is a whole mixture of family life, baseball, and puppies, it's probably personal. If the content is mostly work related, it's more likely to be viewed as part of the organization's own communications. And of course, if you've got a comm staffer posting your content, that's an organization Twitter feed. So these are just some of the factors the IRS would look at when they're trying to decide whether a communication is work-related or whether it's personal. And then I've got some resources here that we'll share when we send out the slides of other places you can look for more information. Some Alliance for Justice guides that I wrote and that colleagues of mine have written provide some of the rules for how to get involved in elections in the election season. So I'm going to turn it over here to Justine to talk about the Think Babies Toolkit, and then we'll open it up to a series of questions that folks might have. Justine?
Thanks so much, Alan. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Well, it's great to be here with you all. And thanks so much, Alan, for sharing that great detail about how folks can get engaged. We at 0 to 3 were excited to get engaged in the 2020 presidential election season, and so created these resources to engage the Think Babies network during that time, and have since done a refresh of those for the midterm season. So I'm excited to share a little bit more about that with you all today. So a little bit on Think Babies and the momentum that we're looking to build behind to support infants and toddlers. So Think Babies is a model to build awareness and political and public will to advance equitable outcomes for infants and toddlers. And we focus on babies and their families, and have created a holistic policy agenda based on what families need. And so we engage parents directly in our work, connecting them directly with policymakers as well. And then we work with a broad array of partner organizations at the federal and state level to bring in as many voices as possible to have the impact that we hope to have for infants and toddlers. So across the, our annual Strolling Thunder event and the advocates that we recruit as part of that are, the Think Baby State Partner Network. We thought we had a really great opportunity during elections to really continue elevating the needs of families and really getting out the vote of infant toddler advocates so they could be engaging during both presidential elections, midterms, and really state and local as well. So a little bit about the Think Babies election resources. So these are designed initially with a federal focus, but we really created this in a way so that it can be easily modified to state and local races. You'll see in our toolkit content that we have a broad agenda in terms of issues that are important to infants and toddlers and their families, but given the political context, particular urgent needs, we have 3 policy priorities that are covered in our toolkit content. So that includes childcare, paid family and medical leave, and economic security, with a particular focus on the child tax credit. So this toolkit and the additional resources that we have are geared for individual professionals and parents who can use the resources here to get involved in elections advocacy and access templates and resources that make it easy for them to do so. And it also provides resources for individuals to extend their impact and really get the word out to their own networks and really build that momentum further out. The other thing is that in addition to individuals taking action, we also wanted this to be useful for state and local organizations as well. so that they can take the resources that we have here and use it to support, your own networks in your communities, and really use it as a jumping off point to create some custom materials based on your, local context and local priorities. So I'm going to walk us through so you all can have a closer look at the various infant toddler specific resources that we have in our Think Babies resources, and they really cover the whole gamut of public education and civic engagement that Alan was walking us through. So all of these are available at thinkbabies.org/elections. And what we have is content that's specifically for candidates. We also have a toolkit for advocates to engage and educate candidates. And then we have voter guides as well, which support voter registration and getting out the vote. So the first thing that we have is our candidate guide. And so the candidate guide is, it provides an early development context for candidates to understand why it's important for them to think babies. And so, as I mentioned, it's centered on the 3 key areas of childcare, paid leave, and the child tax credit. And so the guide includes research and data to make the case for each of those policy areas, and then shares core principles of what a policy solution that is responsive to babies and families' needs would look like. And then it also includes the lived experiences of families with infants and toddlers and what each particular policy has meant or would have meant to them. So in the candidate guide, we have 1-pagers that cover each of the policy areas, and then there are 3 of our Strolling Thunder family advocates that are featured along with that. So they really are getting the full picture when we share this with candidates. And I mentioned that we had this on 1 page each. That was kind of challenging, but we wanted to keep it so it was digestible and quick, and so that candidates would be more likely to read it. We didn't want it to be extensive. We wanted to be short to the point, and really be packed with detail in a short amount of space. And so in addition to the candidate guide, which can be printed in advocates, anyone can just hand that directly to candidates. Our toolkit includes ways that advocates can directly engage candidates. And so we have some information on the options that folks have. So if it's a seasoned advocate or someone new to engaging in advocacy or electoral advocacy, wanted to make sure that they know that you have various ways you can engage, right? So there are in-person and virtual events that campaigns host, and then there's also, of course, the ways to get engaged digitally. So we include support on email and social media specifically in ways for folks to get involved. And so when thinking about in-person and virtual opportunities to connect with candidates, we've wanted to provide a resource for folks in formulating those questions. So Alan walked through, some of the things you want to think about when asking a question and making sure that, you're walking the C3 line. And so what we have here is a sample opening statement for folks to use as a reference. It really gives you a formula for a way to introduce yourself if you're speaking with a candidate at, say, a town hall or at a campaign stop, if you're able to have a candidate's ear. And so we have a sample opening statement, and as well as some questions that cover those 3 key policy areas. And then we also have a guide here that really gets at how can you formulate a question. So again, we want these resources to be as tailorable as possible so folks can make them their own. So there's a step-by-step guide here that kind of walks through how can you craft your own question as well. And then the other thing we have are email templates. And so whether it's reaching out to a candidate in their campaign, during campaign season, or if it's outreach after they've been elected and you want to just continue having the touch point and elevating infant toddler issues, we have some sample content here that folks, again, can use and adapt to engage with candidates directly via email. So next we have social media and graphic resources. So again, thinking about multiple audiences who might advocates want to be reaching out to during election season. There is both the outreach to your general community, right? Wanting to get folks that you know engaged. So we have some sample content here for folks who want to reach out to their own family and friends or broader network on their social channels. And then we also have content specifically for educating candidates. So, if you have their social media handle, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok even, right? Just you can specify the content to what platform you're using and use it as an opportunity to engage with candidates, share the candidate guide, highlight the issues, tag them, get the campaign to see exactly what you're posting online and get the content. So not only do we have sample post copy, we also have a lot of graphics that folks can use and download directly from the toolkit. So the 2 graphics you see on the screen here are just a couple of the examples of what we have that folks can download and use across social channels. So next up, we have a sample letter to the editor. So, their op-eds and letters to the editors are really great ways to continue elevating issues. And so we have this sample LTE here for advocates who are interested in, really elevating their issue in their local paper as well. And so we've covered the education component of it, and then we also have voter guides in order to get folks directly, as prepared as possible for when they're casting their ballot. So we have voter guides that are specifically for parents and primary caregivers. We also have a voter guide that is tailored for early childhood professionals, not only to support their own electoral participation, but also that of the families that they work with, right? We know that parents of infants and toddlers have, really low electoral participation, and we want to do what we can to encourage, the folks who care for infants and toddlers, whether as a primary caregiver or as a professional, to make sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to get out and cast their ballot when it makes sense for them to do so. So we have, in these voter guides, information about how to, find what's on your ballot. There are a lot of great resources out there, like Ballotpedia, where you can put in your information and get a sense of all of the folks who are going to be on your ballot, learn a little bit more about them, where they stand on different issues, and really get yourself prepared to vote, and learn about who all the folks are, right? And the other thing is that there's templates in there for folks to make a plan to vote, to think about, if you're a parent, do I need childcare in order to cast my ballot? Would it be easier for me to mail in my ballot, right? What are the things that you need in order to mail in your ballot? What is the deadline, right? So there are all those sorts of resources in the voter guide, so people have the timeline in mind for, not only when they want to cast their ballot, but how, so that they can explore their options to figure out what's going to work best for them. And, if you need to coordinate with another parent and say, I'll watch your kids while I go vote, if you watch mine while I go vote, just giving folks some ideas to think through how they can get engaged. The other thing is that we provide some of the same background information that you saw in the candidate guide on each policy priority. So if folks, are more interested in some of the detail as they're thinking through and preparing to cast their ballot, providing that information so they have some of that as well, so they can evaluate policies and proposals ahead of time. And then the other thing that we have available as part of the voter guides is a template. So this template can be specified to a state or community's context. So we created this specifically for our state partners to individualize, and it's really a great resource for any state or local organizations to adapt and share with their network. So you can just pre-fill all of the data around, your state's specific mail-in deadline, what are the requirements, all of that sort of stuff. You can get a sense of that ahead of time, use that and create it, and then send that out to your networks as well. All right, well, I will pause here if there are any questions around what we have in the toolkit. Can't see the chat, so let me.
Thank you so much, Justine and Alan as well. We'd encourage you at this point either to throw a question in the chat box or come right off mute if you have one to ask.
I've got a question in the chat box that I think would be relevant to everyone that was asked of me. But before I dive into that, I just want to emphasize one thing that I think has been implicit in what Justine said, and in fact, it's the whole reason that Voices is doing this, but I want to make it explicit, which is that parents of infants and toddlers have the lowest rate of voting of any population. And it's completely obvious to any of us who've ever had one. The only election I've ever missed, and I'm an election lawyer, right? The only election I missed was the 2008 primary, because I had a 2-year-old and an infant, like a 3-week-old. And my wife said, look, it's raining, it's primary day. Don't make me drag our infant to stand in line simply so that my vote can cancel out yours, because we opposed we supported 2 different candidates. You know, she was a Hillary voter and I was an Obama voter in the primary. It's the only election we missed because she was like, we can't drag our kids to stand in the rain simply so that our votes can cancel each other out. And so I agreed not to vote in that election. But it really just underscores, we all know how incredibly difficult it is if you are a parent of an infant or toddler to get out and vote. You need to, as Justine said, make a plan, figure out about early voting if possible, figure out about mail-in voting. And childcare facilities can have an enormous role to play in pushing information out, both all of the organizations that you are part of, whether it's everything from, I'm not even going to name it, but you guys are the ones who can use this 0 to 3 Think Babies Toolkit, use all of the resources that they're providing to really encourage people to get out and vote, because it is so hard. And the reason that politicians don't support infants and toddlers when it comes to voting in Congress or voting in state legislatures is because they know the parents don't vote. They know old people vote. Old people vote on old people issues. Parents of infants and toddlers aren't voting, so they're not getting the political representation that they need. So that's why we're doing this, just to make it explicit. The question I got was about this slide here, which is, why is it that this would possibly not be okay as a C3? And to dive in a little bit, the underlying question here that the person had is, how could it possibly be that some candidates would be on the wrong side of this issue? Well, candidates are on the wrong side of everything. In some communities, clean water is something that we take for granted, and all candidates are pro clean water. In other communities, clean water is like a legit toxic issue between the candidates. And if you did this communication that said, basically vote for clean water in those communities that don't have clean water, that really is a clear message of, hey, vote for Representative Gonzalez, who's, you know, facing a tough race against somebody who isn't in favor of investing in clean water, right? So there are a lot of communities where this message would really resonate, but it would also serve to divide the candidates. And so it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, even though we're not saying in this communication, the organization didn't say which candidate is the clean water candidate. The way the IRS approaches it is the IRS would extend this and say, because there's a difference between the candidates on clean water, it's clear that this communication aligns with Representative Gonzalez, who's been the clean water candidate in that community, and it's clear you're trying to push clean water, trying to push for Representative Gonzalez, because she's been running on this clean water message. Now, in other communities, this communication would be totally safe. And it's just something to contrast with this message from North Carolina, where we took extra steps to make sure that it didn't align with any particular candidate. Between clean jobs, clean air, healthy environment, healthy economy, access to clean energy, in some way or another, all of the candidates support elements of this agenda. And so this would be a safer thing to be talking about.
There's a follow-up question, Alan,
yeah,
about what the penalty would be if you ran that ad.
Yeah, and so that's a valid question. So if it was clear that this was supporting a particular candidate, the IRS could revoke your C3 status. The IRS could say that if an organization that supports candidates doesn't qualify for being a 501c3 anymore. And so on something like this ad, well, certainly on something like this ad, I would fight vociferously in any situation, but on this one, I don't think the IRS would pull your C3 status over something like this because there's some ambiguity in it. But certainly, depending on the circumstances, they could also impose a fine. There are a variety of different things that they could do. And you certainly don't want to have to go through that ringer with your board of directors and dealing with the IRS and all that. What other questions do folks have of things that are either ambiguous or things you're hoping your organization would be able to do, where you're trying to get your toes up to the line? One other example that people have often asked about is in terms of elevating the issues that are coming up in elections, what about retweeting candidates that are talking about these issues? And it's another situation where, as we get success with our efforts to try to get candidates talking about infants and toddlers, then we might have to pull back a little bit. So what you'll see in the 0 to 3 in the campaign toolkit is using social media to prompt candidates to get to talking about this. You know, asking and tagging candidates and saying, how would you address issues related to infants and toddlers? Get those candidates to start talking about that. Get an online dialogue going. Unfortunately, we can't then push out those candidates' responses and say, hey, we love this response from candidate so-and-so. A safer approach would be, you could say something that's a little bit more neutral along the lines of, keep the policy discussions going and retweeting something from a candidate. Even there might be some amount of risk to it, because if only one candidate is talking about the issue and the other candidate is ignoring your prompt, then you wind up just retweeting that one candidate, giving attention to that one candidate, and the other candidate who's ignoring your prompts doesn't get any attention. So you have to watch out for that, for the appearance that you're giving more attention and more promotion to one candidate over the other.
All right, I've never been too sad. Oh, there we have a question in the chat box. It says, I can imagine that many people on this call feel a strong personal connection to the issue their employer advocates for. If you go out to advocate for that issue on your personal time, can you distribute information created by your employer on that particular issue? How wide a berth do you need to give between work and personal?
That's a complicated question. So let me break it down into a couple of different buckets. The first is that, yes, people in the nonprofit sector really do feel a personal and close connection to the issues. And you have to recognize, so for example, Lori Persina, who's the head of Voices, has been a longtime advocate with Diane Pickles, who is both in this realm and works on these issues in the nonprofit world, but also has a child who's been touched with heart issues. And so she, in her professional capacity, is working in these issues, and in her personal capacity spends all of her personal time volunteering on the very same issues. And I'm sure that's how a lot of people on this call are, is that because they care passionately about these issues, they want to do the same sort of thing in their free time. The tricky part is that from the outside, a person who's outside of the nonprofit advocacy world might think that you're being coerced into doing this voluntarily. For example, if you were a factory worker and were sweeping the factory on Saturday for free and not being paid, a jury would look at you and say, no, there's no way that you'd come into the factory to sweep the floor on a Saturday without getting paid. You must have been coerced into doing it. And they would find that the employer had violated employment laws. So we need to be careful about that when people are doing volunteer work that they would ordinarily do in their job. Now, the flip side is, of course, as you saw with my slide with that woman who's phone banking next to President Obama, in your personal time, you're allowed to do anything you want, but you can't use work resources when you're doing it. So if you want to go door to door for a particular candidate, by all means, go ahead, but you can't be handing out employer materials when you're doing that, because then it's going to appear that the C3 is, and in fact, it would be supporting the political work that you're doing if you're handing out C3 materials when you're going door to door. So if you're going to go door to door or whatever you're doing on your free time, use the candidate's materials, create materials of your own without using C3 resources. But you really need to make it a very clear delineation between what you're doing in your work capacity and what you're doing in your personal capacity. And importantly, if you're a supervisor, make sure that there's no, not even the whiff of coercion going on, where if you're going to be spending your personal time working for a candidate, don't provide that opportunity. Don't share out of generosity information about the canvas with others at your organization that would report to you or that would be lower to you, because it's going to seem like you're putting pressure on those people to volunteer or to work for that candidate. If you're hosting a fundraiser for the organization, don't share information about that fundraiser with the folks who report to you or other folks below you at the organization, because again, it's not going to look like they have the opportunity to pass up that opportunity to go to the fundraiser, for example. So thank you for asking that question, Armis.
Yeah, that was a great question. Any last questions before we break? I will just say that Voices for Healthy Kids can offer specific TA around this. I did put a link to our TA portal in the chat. We'll be following up with an email that has information and the all the links and the slides. But really appreciate everyone's time. Special thank you to Justine Davenport. I really appreciate your time and the incredible work that 0 to 3 is doing around this. And thank you, Alan, Madison, for sharing your knowledge with all of us. Much appreciated. Everyone have a great week.
And thank you all for all the hard work you're doing on this issue. Good luck.